One last thing, like what is this embroidery screen showing you? It's showing you that it's now showing, there's the hoop size. This is telling you that it should be on automatic tension, and the presser foot pressure should be set at 3. Up here, this is manual, but it tells you what the number should be. Pressure should be at 3. It's telling you that it's going at 800 stitches per minute. There are 12 colors in this design, and now it's going. We're on color number 2. This is total number of stitches. This is not stitch per color. We're on total number of stitches, what, 1,600 out of 26,000. At the current speed, it estimates about 51 minutes to finish this whole design. Okay? If you're going through and you find that the bobbin tension is coming up, you will press stop and you will hold the set menu and you'll hit embroidery and you'll go to tension. If you see the bobbin tension is coming up, you want to increase the top, you can increase or decrease the top tension. Okay, depending on if you see loops forming or if you see bobbin thread showing on the top, do you need to increase the top tension or the bottom tension? This tells you at what point does it warn you to quit sewing and change your bobbin. So things like that. We are done with this menu. I'll press OK. And I'm going to press start. And this is the lock. So anytime you need to, like I'm in the middle of my design and I need to change my bobbin, for instance, please press the lock screen so that you don't accidentally jostle something and you're on like color number 5 and you go back to color number 2 and then you have to go through and find your place again. Click this lock button anytime and that locks your screen out so that you can touch it and nothing will happen until you hit the lock screen again. So now you can start. There is this here too. This is also a tension and this is a cut length. So this is like as you're sewing, this is a tension kind of, and this tells you the trim length. So at what length should the jump stitches be when you trim? Right now they're set to like 2 something. I have turned that off before on some designs when I really wanted a satin stitch look. I really did not want it to cut the jump stitches. See, it's cutting. This also tells you what length of fabric tails it cuts. So you can turn off the jump thread cutting, which I have done in certain instances, and then you can tell it what length of fabric tail, thread tails you want it to leave so that it doesn't leave too short a fabric tail. It's a very customizable machine. Now sewing. So I hope all this helps you. If you have this Expressive 860, which is cool because it has this little foot storage here. Super cool. Plus it's, I think it's a little prettier than the 9900 or even the Skyline series. It does not have Wi-Fi like the new Skyline S9 has, but I've not found that to be a limitation. If you have this machine, I hope this helps you. I bought it, I guess, 2 years ago now, and I have really enjoyed it. The way that the embroidery is in the back, the way you see that there's nothing, I can have something over to the side here so long as it's not interfering. The way my little dinky sewing space is, this machine fits my configuration the best. Other machines that have like the embroidery arm out here on the side and then it takes up too much space in my dinky little space. So I was really pleased to be able to get this machine. But everybody's needs are individual and there is no one perfect machine. I mean, my main sewing machine is a Viking. And I have this Elna and I've had other mechanical machines before, all kinds. So just because I have this machine and I really like it doesn't necessarily mean that it'll work for you. Because there are so many fantastic sewing machine choices on the market right now. It's like a great time to be a stitcher because it's like almost whatever machine you pick is going to be pretty awesome. They're all really reliable. They all do a really good job sewing. So, You know, it's a great time to be a sewing fanatic person, you know? So, enjoy this machine, enjoy whatever embroidery machine you have. Happy stitching. So, I've got my thing set up now. It just, you know, shut down. So now I need to hoop it. So, in the Elna, there's a little lever in the back. The embroidery arm comes out the back, which is why this works so well for me, because you see my space is really tiny. I still have my thread from yesterday. I need to load my design, which is very simply done from this folder. It's on my USB stick. When you do embroidery in the Janome, you have to put it in the EMBF folder. It's loading all the things in my EMBF folder. I'm going to go find my design. Sloth Coffee. Hoop moves to position. And it tells me what size hoop it is. Now, it's going the wrong way. If you saw my template is going, you see on the screen, the sloth is facing that way, but the neck of my shirt is that way. So how do I mirror image? There's this little thing here that looks like the embroidery hoop, honestly. This is the edit. And now this is change your hoop size. I forget what this is, because I do most of my editing in Sew Up Pro, because it's just easier for me. This is the mirror image. Do I want to mirror image it left, right, or up, down? I want to mirror image it left, right, and up, down, actually. Because now it exactly matches my template. See? Because that's exactly how I want it to be. So you see there's a left, right, and an up, down. So I did both of them. Alright, and I press OK. And now I'm back to the embroidery screen, like the main edit screen, and I press OK. I'm done editing. Now it's loading the stitch out screen. Before I do anything else, I really should get a bobbin. Do I have any full bobbins? I have a box full of these bobbins here, and most of my bobbin thread is pretty empty. So how about I take a second and wind a bobbin? That's pretty empty. So to wind a bobbin on the machine, it's also fairly simple. Bobbin. I need some bobbin fill. I want some great bobbin fill. This is the advantage of having all your thread out like this. You put it on here. You put it in here. Now, you can't see it here. Now, on this machine, there's this kind of funny thing. So, you don't, when you're doing the threading, you don't just lay it in here. You have to kind of push it in and hear it click. Okay? And now you can bring it around for bobbin threading. More bobbin winding, rather. Way too much thread up here. There's like a pre-tensioner. There's like a pre-tensioner under here, and you have to kind of click it in. And when I first got this machine, I had all kinds of problems. Now you move this over. And you press start. And you just hold on to this tail for a bit until you're sure it's secure. And now you can clip it off and keep going. Sorry for the boringness of winding a bobbin, but you need to know that that pre-tensioner is there. When I first got this machine, I had issues with the tension, and I came from the Brother PE770, which is a great starter machine, but I wanted a bigger hoop because I like putting stuff on shirts. I didn't want so big a shirt that I wanted like the big Janome, or like, and I didn't have the budget for it. I got this at a really, really good deal. I didn't have the budget for anything more than this machine in terms of hoop size. And this hoop size has just been absolutely perfect for me and what I want to do. I actually have not, since I got this machine, I have not desired a bigger hoop. The size hoop that this machine has in the Skyline S9 Atelier, I don't know what the Atelier is in Britain, European machine is. It's all done. See, it stops. It does not snap back. It just kind of stops. There's a cutter here, but I just used my snips. Alright, so now I have a bobbin. Pretty simple. The bobbin winds very evenly. On some Janomes, there's an issue, and you have to kind of manually guide it. I've not had that issue on this machine. And honestly, even if you have that issue, that is such a minor issue that if everything else with the machine is great, I just don't think that that's a big deal. But you might. You know, sewing and embroidery is a very individual thing, and you know, if you don't bond with your machine and you can afford to, go get a different one. Try a different brand. Try Pfaff. Try Viking. Try, you know, Brother. I really like the Brother machine. I just didn't like the screen, but everything else about it was great. And it was loud, but that was that machine, because other Brothers are not that loud. Alright. So, now it's telling me my hoop size. Back to sewing. Oh yes, I also have all of my threads lined up in a row. I do have this nifty thread stand back here, but as I don't have really enough space right here right now, it'll have to stay back there, and I'll have the inconvenience of loading the thread one by one. It's just not such a big deal. So, before I do this, I want to cut, this is my interfacing that I want to, this is a cutaway stabilizer, and I want to make it about the same size as my hoop. Scissors. Since I only get a very short amount of time ever to sew, it's very important that my sewing room be organized in a way that I can find things very quickly. So I have spent quite a bit of time organizing, and it has been time extremely well spent. So that is another tip. Organize your space. You will thank yourself later. So now I've got to get this under here. Lift the foot. Guide it underneath the needle. All over again. That's it. So it's all hooped now. Okay. I'm going to make sure that none of these trailing sleeves or whatever are going to get in the way of anything. So I'll make sure that nothing is going to hinder the needle. So basically what you want to make sure is that nothing falls underneath. The way this machine is, it almost kind of, I've not had that issue either. Because you really don't want stray stuff to come down. That'll really ruin your day. You spend all this time getting it ready, and then, yeah, that's not a fun thing. You want to make sure that none of this thread falls into the embroidery area. Now I'm going to check and see if I am centered. I'm not quite centered, so I probably need to realign my cloth setter, because I haven't done that in a while. So, okay, what did I just do? Right? So this thing is your thread and your positioning, right? So this tells you what thread number you're on, and your thread count, or it's your positioning tool. Right, and I'm just moving it around until it hits. This is why don't move your template until it's on here. I think I need one more down. Alright, that was pretty easy, right? So it's up to the highest position. That was pretty easy, what I just did, with moving it around. Now I'm going to take my template off, which was just pinned. Because do not sew through your template. Do not sew through pins. That would be bad. Just saying. Alright. Next thing is to gently slide this underneath. This is what I'm saying about floating it. It's easier to do on this machine than on some others. You're just going to float this underneath. And that means that you're going to use the basting stitch. If you don't have a basting stitch on the machine, the PE 770 did not have a basting stitch, but Sew Up Pro has a basting stitch. So what I did with my PE 770 was I made a basting stitch file, and then I just saved that file to my PE 770 so that I had a basting stitch file. So I would stitch the basting stitch, and then I would open my next file and then do that. So there are workarounds to almost everything you want to do. There really are. Even on a machine like the PE 770, which is almost the most basic embroidery machine you can get. And by the way, they have upgraded that machine now with a screen, and I think it's like the Brother 1190 or something, or SE 1900. I want to say it's SE 1900. And that looks like the most fantastic beginner embroidery machine you can imagine. So if you're looking for a beginner embroidery machine, less than $1,000, look at that new Brother. It looks exactly like a PE 770, except it's got a color screen, and that color screen makes a huge difference in seeing what the heck you're doing. I'm going to thread the machine now. Once again, right, take this, click. Pull it until it clicks. And the rest you thread like normal. It did not thread. So because my needle wasn't in the highest position, it didn't quite thread. You know, that was just down and up and down, and now it does have a needle threader. It is not as cool as the Brother needle threader, but it does work. Works just fine. Alright, the machine is threaded. Now what do I need to do? I need to do a basting stitch. How do I do a basting stitch? This thing that looks like it's a whoopie-doo, like it's a circle, go around the hoop. This first one just goes around the hoop, and now you can check this corner, this corner, this corner, this corner, and then it'll just do a thing around the hoop. This is an inside basting, and this is like a double basting. And I'm going to do double basting with this. And I find I get a better result if I kind of hold the thread at the beginning. Sometimes it won't catch for some reason. So it does an inside and an outside thread box. You will have to manually remove these later, but really it's not a big deal. What I just did was I just secured this bottom stabilizer to my fabric. Alright, now I myself am going to go in and trim these thread tails very carefully, because I don't want them getting in the way of anything. That's it. That's the basting stitch, and I'm all done. Raise my pressure foot. I'm all done. Now I'm back to my stitch out screen, and I'm ready to start. This tells you how many stitches you have. On this screen, if you move these are back and forth, you'll move by like individual stitch. If you press it, it's like 10, and then it goes to 50. So like if you stop in the middle of a design and you lose, you know, and you need to go back and forth, like if you run out of bobbin thread, you need to rewind your bobbin, you can go back 1, 2, 3, 10 stitches. These buttons now will advance per color. Okay? I would strongly suggest, if you're changing your bobbin, that you hit the lockout screen so that nothing happens. But now I am ready to stitch. So I'm going to hit start. I'm going to leave these in here. I will take them out later. If I could have just left this first stitch and it would have been cut off in the bottom, but I don't know, I guess old habit from the PE770, which does not have a thread cutter, is just to let it go. So there you go. Now we have started stitching color number 1. There is a way to get it to animate by color. You can do that here. Show you what color you're on right now, and this will go color by color. So right now you hit this design, this button, this is the whole design, this flower is color by color, and actually there's a little moving dot right here that is the animation of the actual stitching. This machine is significantly quieter than the brother. Alright, next color. And so on and so forth. The next color is white, which doesn't show up on the white screen. One thing, when you change your colors, cut the thread from the top and pull it through the needle. You're losing so little thread that really, just do yourself a favor, do your machine a favor, and just do it that way. Now, if I had my other thread rack here, I could just pull the thread over instead of having to put it on the spool cap, like this, the spool pin. But alas, I did not get it out today because the cloth sitter is taking up my room. You do not have to do this for every color, it's just my habit. If you don't do it, the machine will just pull this first thread to the back. It's my habit to do this. So, I have not done it, and it has been fine. So, the only reason you can't see it is because the second color is white. So, there you go, you're started and you're on your way. It's pretty easy.